The depictions of the upper planes lean heavily on intimidating divinity. We see figures of beaming light raining holy swords down to smite the wicked and punish the unjust. But smiting makes up, at most, 30% of a celestial's duty, for violence is not the most effective way to bring good into the world. Welcome to Critically Misused, a show where we look at misunderstood aspects of D&D. On this episode, we'll be covering some good guys for once, the Celestials. Celestials are the residents of the upper planes. They have just as much range and appearance and alignment as the fiends below, but they are oriented towards good instead of evil. There are the lawful angels, who guide the material plane to prosperity across centuries, and the neutral Ghalae, who fight for every individual person. Archons fight in armies, while sphinxes and coatls defend sacred areas alone. Unicorns protect the land, while the mighty great dreamers watch over the seas. Since Celestials aren't inclined to fight each other, they may appear as a unified force. In truth, they are just as divided and numerous as their underworld brethren, only less violent about their differences. The unfortunate reality is that most Celestials haven't been updated to 5th edition, and the ones that have are mostly self-righteous and bland. 5th edition would rather cop off Christian symbolism than explore morality and the nature of good, it seems. Which is a shame, since older editions pondered those questions much more. Beings such as the Archons and the Eladrins explored the many ways to help people in the context of alignment. Defending others from invasion, healing the wounds of the enemy, taking care of yourself are all forms of good, even though they seem contradictory. Celestials in 5th edition are flat by comparison, with their goodness assumed, not ever shown. What can we do about this? The amount of Celestial stat blocks is outnumbered by plants. Plants! While many independent creators, including myself, have updated old Celestials to the current edition, it can still be challenging to find reliable statistics and frustrating to rely on homebrew. For those of you who want better, more nuanced Celestials in your game, my recommendation is to explore them individually. Celestials are intelligent, and thus realize the complex nature of good and evil. To give an angel nuance, make them a philosopher, someone who is determined not just to enforce good, but to explore it. There are many aspects of good, as there are evil, so have each Celestial focus on a different aspect. An angel that sees a forest destroyed might focus on conservation, for example. Celestials could embody protection, equality, redemption, justice, health, plenty, the list goes on. Every creature the party meets, from the lowest Lantern Archon to the mighty Solar, could have a different idea of what good looks like, and they could all be right. Before we wrap this video up, I'd like to do a lightning round covering the 5th edition Celestials. If you want to learn more about the ones from older editions, there will be links in the description below. Without further ado, let's get holy in here. Unicorns behave a lot like the Fae they hang around with, making merry in their protected wilderness territory. The difference is they aren't tied to the radical emotions of the Feywild, and are thus less likely to destroy your livelihood as a prank. For their CR, they are relatively weak, with most of their magic going towards healing. Nevertheless, they make great NPCs and splendid mounts, and if you want a better unicorn, you can always try the Forest Master. Angels and Empyreans are manifestations of overwhelming divine power. Besides the Devas, whose job is to watch over mortals from afar, angels are terrifying to encounter, regardless of which side you are on. They are the manifestations of a god's will that serve as prophets, bodyguards, and enforcers of good. Other than that, there isn't much to them. They're kinda bland. Coatls are the servants of an ancient, powerful deity. With their tasks either completed or forgotten, many of them see no reason to keep fighting off death. They have stopped reproducing entirely, and are letting their existence fade into the background of history. However, a few still cling to life, in hopes that their deity will return and bring justice and good to the multiverse. Finally, Key Rin are spirits of good health and wealth. They are capable of creating new materials from thin air, and their presence alone brings vigor and tranquility to the area. Thanks to their powers of creation, They live in the lap of luxury, surrounded by fine art and culture. If you do have the choice of which celestial you want watching over you, the Kirin should be at the top of your list. They embody doing good without punishing evil, a rare sentiment in D&D and in real life. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you've made it this far, consider dropping a like and subscribing, and perhaps suggest a monster you'd like to see me cover in the comments below. I got this idea from Juan I Soul, who wanted me to cover something nice instead of the usual deadly horrors. In a world full of unspeakable nightmares, it's important to recognize the forces that protect us from them. Safe travels, until we meet again.